March of this year, the Hendry County Sheriff's Office referred a report to you guys of Ian threatening to kill Katie and kicking her at their home. What ended up happening with that case?
I'm not going to comment on any prior cases between the two because of this current case and the possibility that some of that might be used in this current case, so I can't comment on the evidence in that prior.
Katie McKinney was an optimistic young woman, set on becoming a nurse and raising a family one day. However, tragedy struck when her father abandoned Katie's family, leaving her feeling lost during her vulnerable teen years. Though derailed from her idyllic vision of the future, Katie found the resilience to heal and continue pursuing her career and motherhood dreams. Little did she know, fate had an unexpected meeting with a charming suitor in store, just as her aspirations were finally within reach. Still emotionally reeling from her father's sudden abandonment of the family during her freshman year of high school, Katie initially struggled to stay focused on her studies and extracurriculars. The traumatic loss of this crucial relationship made her question her self-worth. For months, Katie agonized over what she might have done to drive her father away and begged to know if she would ever see him again. She wondered if true, unconditional love really existed after all. However, Katie possessed wisdom and maturity beyond her 15 years. She attended counseling sessions, journaled to process her pain, and chose to transform heartbreak into motivation to create the loving family she yearned for one day. Katie eventually forgave her distant father and found closure by relating to him as a flawed human, just trying to cope like anyone else. She redirected her energy into nurturing her independence, self-confidence, and ambitious nature. By her senior year, Katie was proudly graduating near the top of her class. With renewed tenacity for overcoming family adversity, Katie dove into achieving her career goals next. She moved to Louisville for college and balanced a grueling nursing curriculum with part-time jobs that helped pay some tuition. During her rare free moments, Katie still held on to hope that she would meet a special someone to build a beautiful life with. Once Katie passed her nursing boards and earned a stable job, she felt ready to get back out there. But the unpredictability of shift work and a sparse social life through her rigorous studies made dating a challenge. She decided to broaden her search on Christian Mingle, trusting divine timing that God would send the right person at the right moment. Initially, the dating app presented lackluster options, but just when impatience began to creep in, an intriguing match named Ian appeared. His passion for fitness, nutrition, and self-improvement resonated with Katie's field of wellness. She admired Ian's military background, multiple Ivy League degrees, and established career. Most importantly, he shared Katie's traditional values and desire for families centered on faith, or so his thoughtful messages indicated. Ian's persistence to keep the conversation flowing demonstrated sincere interest beyond superficial attraction. Katie felt flattered by his attentiveness to the details she shared about nursing school challenges or favorite Bible verses. After nearly a month of messaging daily, Ian suggested meeting in person when Katie returned home to Indiana after summer break. She joyfully accepted, feeling hopeful that her years of patience had finally brought her a promising suitor. During their first dinner date, Katie and Ian delighted in discovering uncanny commonalities, down to niche hobbies or taste in music. Conversation flowed effortlessly for hours until the restaurant had to suggest they wrap up as closing time approached. Neither wanted the night to end. In the following weeks of Katie's break, hardly a day passed without multi-hour dates. The compliments he once reserved for messaging now flow freely in person, with Ian praising Katie's intelligence, determination, and natural beauty. He admired her resilience in dealing with family issues in the past, saying it showed profound strength. Ian described a painful divorce he went through, but framed himself as the victim being treated unfairly. Sympathetic to his strife, Katie felt grateful to meet a fellow Christian who understood relationship hardships yet maintained unwavering faith. Soon, Ian invited Katie on a weekend getaway for some private time free of distraction to focus on nurturing their bond. During stunning sunsets on the beach, philosophical conversations under the stars, and authentic, vulnerable moments, Katie truly felt she had met her soulmate. Ian said he felt certain too that God had perfectly answered both their prayers to find each other. By summer's end, Ian asserted to Katie that his life and thriving career relied on strict, healthy habits in Florida. If she wished for their God-oriented love to transform into the family they both dreamed of, he entreated Katie to join him out east. After earnest prayer and counsel from mentors, Katie felt called to unite her path with Ian's. She bid goodbye to worried family members, promising she'd stay in touch. Although sacrificing proximity to loved ones would be difficult, Katie trusted that taking a leap of faith for Ian was part of God's plan. She took comfort in the promise of their golden future together. Now settled into life together in Florida, Ian relentlessly focused on his strict bodybuilding regimen and non-destructive testing business, while Katie worked long nursing shifts. Though often exhausted, Katie diligently prepared healthy meals precisely as Ian demanded to support his training. She also handled virtually all domestic duties and childcare for their 2 young kids. Ian believed the Bible commanded that, as man and head of household, he had final authority over Katie in all matters. He scrutinized her decisions down to minute details like how she loaded the dishwasher. Ian enforced his decrees by leveraging scripture, though his interpretations often warped passages by ignoring context. For instance, Ian once erupted into a rage because Katie purchased gasoline without his permission. He justified abrasively chastising her through the verse, stating that 2 become one flesh in marriage. To Ian, this essentially meant the wife relinquished all autonomy. Though initially easy to overlook subtleties as quirks, Ian's extreme need for control and obedient conformity became increasingly evident. Katie couldn't make plans with friends or family without his explicit pre-approval. Ian also called her incessantly throughout work shifts, demanding updates. When Katie's mother discovered allegations of Ian's past domestic abuse, she urgently confronted him. However, Ian insisted his ex-wives falsely accused him, pointing to a clean record. Katie's mom still felt unsettled, but reluctantly backed down. In hindsight, this was the first clear chance to break free that tragically went unheeded. As months passed, the demeaning comments, volatility, and violent outbursts snowballed. Ian would hurl Bible verses mixed with explicit insults during disputes. He destroyed property, punched walls, and threw heavy objects with reckless disregard for others' safety. In one alarming episode, Ian flung a metal sippy cup towards Katie's head while their toddler sat at her feet. The cup narrowly missed striking their child as it smashed through the window instead. The arrest warrants describe how an altercation with Katie once provoked Ian to grab her by the hair and fling her to the ground. Terrified, she locked herself in a room and desperately called 911 while Ian fled with the family's only vehicle. Despite escalating violence culminating in Katie calling for police intervention that night, officials perplexingly never arrested Ian. The sheriff's report recommended charges, but higher-ups dismissed pursuing action against him. Had judicial consequences been enforced consistently from the start, Katie may still be alive today. Tragically, the lack of accountability enabled the abuse to turn deadly over time. When the judge finally granted Katie a protection order mandate in late 2021, she hoped the legal bounds would restrain Ian's aggression. Shortly after, Ian ominously posted on social media about traitors in literature who betray their loved ones being condemned to the depths of hell, an apparent reference to Katie escaping his control through the courts. True to form, Ian soon violated the order. When deputies responded to Katie's frantic call, describing how Ian kicked and threatened her yet again, they inexplicably refused to arrest him. Unfathomable failings within the system had now surfaced multiple times in the year leading up to Katie's murder. Despite Katie's numerous attempts through police intervention and the courts to restrain Ian's escalating abuse, the law failed her at every turn. Paying no price for his violence, Ian's actions grew bolder over time, as if daring Katie to leave at her own peril. As Katie finally reached her breaking point in the relationship and prepared to file for sole custody of their children, Ian resorted to the ultimate act of destruction to exert control. According to evidence from arrest warrants and testimony, Ian lured Katie by convincing her he planned to leave the country for good. Believing she could safely retrieve some final belongings from Ian's house after dropping the kids with her friends first, Katie fatefully agreed. Tragically, she never returned after walking into his meticulously premeditated ambush, driven by possessive rage from losing domination over Katie through the custody battle.
I got cover. Go ahead, contact.
Why are you cuffing?
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
Take everything out, okay?
Back up, relax. Hey, move forward behind him.
Ow, fuck.
Relax.
All right, you gonna roll to your side?
You gotta loosen that up.
Okay,
Hey,
let's
coach,
secure you
let's
first.
put 2 handcuffs on him. We're good. We got another pair. Move behind. Cover them. Relax. It's all good.
My circulation.
They're gonna take care of you, so just give us 1
Is
second.
this necessary?
Keep.
rolled over after you come up with the set on him. Sit him up. The right side.
I understand. You're doing it really good.
Screwed up.
We're gonna get you comfortable, sir, and then we're just gonna have a conversation.
Stay flat,
okay?
stay flat. Keep your hands there.
Come on, Dan. I'm not gonna do anything.
They're just gonna sit you on your belt once they get you cuffed, so just relax, okay? Yep. Dominguez! Yes, sir. Let's get this out of the fucking way.
Roll to your right. Roll to your right.
There's a search warrant on here, sir, and they'll talk to you in just a second. Detective's here.
All right. Push off your legs.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Fonzie.
So I was on my way. What'd y'all do? Rescue my gate?
Give me a second. Let me search. Anything in your pocket that's gonna poke stick me?
Guys, yep. We're just gonna get this out of the way and we'll drive right up to the house. Nope, get it back right now. Stand by. All right. Get it back. You're good. All right. Yep. Just...
Hey, once we get there.
Ian's extensive cover-up efforts to thoroughly incinerate human remains and biological evidence suggest he likely carried out gruesome violence in taking Katie's life. Analysis indicates he researched disposing of corpses online around the time he lost child custody rights. But thanks to Katie's loved ones rapidly reporting her disappearance, Ian's attempt to evade justice failed. If officials had heeded the urgent warnings from Katie and past victims regarding Ian's capacity for violence, 2 innocent lives with beautiful futures ahead might have been spared. First Connie Ridgway and then Katie. While the outcome remains unchanged, perhaps it offered some small consolation to Katie's grieving family that Ian now faces immediate consequences without leniency.
Katie,
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here with us today. Today, I convened the Hendry County Grand Jury, and I'm here today with our Sheriff of Hendry County, Steve Whitten, and his team and my team to announce a grand jury indictment against Ian Bonnock for first-degree murder, abuse of a dead human body, and tampering with evidence. The defendant is accused of murdering his estranged wife, Katie Samantha Bonnock, a young mother, between September 29th and September 30th, 2022, at his home in Hendry County. The victim was reported missing, and she never returned from going to the defendant's house to retrieve some of her belongings. Her car was still at the defendant's home when law enforcement arrived. The Hendry County Sheriff's Office, led by Sheriff Steve Whitten here beside me, and his team, including Lieutenant Rowan, went to the scene immediately to try to find the victim. Their extremely swift actions and quick work in this case helped find evidence and retain evidence before it was destroyed by the defendant, thus leading to this indictment today. Sheriff Whitten will now say a few words about his agency's involvement in this arrest. Thank you, Sheriff Whitten.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. On Friday, September 30th, around 7:30 a.m., just a couple days after the hurricane hit, I received a knock on my door from a neighbor that lived a few doors down who happened to be friends with the victim, Katie. She advised me that earlier that night, around 9 o'clock, that Katie had dropped her kids off with them and asked her to watch them while she went to retrieve some items from her ex-husband's house, Ian Bonnock. The neighbor advised me that she had never returned and they could not get a hold of her at that time. That led me to believe that something bad had happened, knowing the history between the Bonnocks and their divorce. That was back in February. At that time, I notified our road patrol division to have them go out and knock on the door to see if she was still over there at Ian's house, which they were not able to contact either one of them. That time I realized it made me believe that something bad did definitely happen at that point. So a search warrant was obtained to enter the property of the Bonnock's residence to look for Katie, which we did to no avail. Once we were there, we did see some items that made us believe that something egregious had happened to Miss Katie. That time, we received a secondary search warrant to look for further evidence, which we found a lot of evidence, overwhelming evidence that believed that Katie had died at that time at that residence. This is a very egregious crime. I believe that if the suspect had just a few more hours, he might have finished cleaning up his crime scene and we might still be looking for a missing person at this time.
Thank you so much, Sheriff, and thank you again to your team for such excellent work. Bonnock is currently incarcerated in the Hendry County Jail and will now have this charge of first-degree murder and the other two charges added. I hope that today's indictment starts to bring some sense of justice to the family and the friends of the victim as they grieve their loss. And of course, our thoughts are with them and also with her children today.
Will you guys take a couple questions?
We can't answer any questions about the facts of the case. We
Sure.
can answer questions about the court scheduling and things like that.
So the question I have is, my understanding is that in March of this year, the Hendry County Sheriff's Office referred a report to you guys of Ian threatening to kill Katie and kicking her at their home. What ended up happening with that case?
I'm not going to comment on any prior cases between the two because of this current case and the possibility that some of that might be used in this current case, so I can't comment on the evidence in that prior case.
And so you won't be able to comment on the strangulation case from 2021 earlier either?
I can't comment on any facts of those cases.
Okay, thank you.
Can we get correct spelling of the names, please?
Yes, sure. Ian I-A-N, and then Bonnock is B-A-U-N-A-U-C-H.
B-A-N-A-U-C-H, I believe, is that correct? B-A-N,
It'll be in the
Did I
press
say it
release
wrong?
following as well.
B-A-N-A-U-C-H. Oh, no.
Ian awaits trial, imprisoned under maximum security, denied any possibility of posting bond. Prosecutors continue building an airtight case towards conviction, either through a jury trial or negotiated guilty plea. Given the undeniable evidence against him, Ian will almost certainly spend the rest of his days incarcerated. Beyond securing justice for Katie, the ultimate task ahead is preventing this heartbreaking story from repeating itself. Katie's case exposed systemic failures, allowing an abusive manipulator to escalate over years despite warnings, until claiming an innocent life. The key lies in constructive examination of how the system failed and ensuring meaningful changes are implemented through legislation. For lasting change, our culture must also overcome dismissing domestic violence as a private relationship matter and treat it as the serious crime that it is. Issues like Ian's previous abuse records being improperly expunged in Indiana must end. Protecting victims and saving lives needs to finally supersede policies that give endless grace to abusers at victims' expense. The best way to honor Katie and the countless other victims impacted is learning from this tragedy and advocating for progress. Though the pain can never be fully undone, we can work to create a more just world moving forward. Katie's loved ones choose to channel grief into fueling that vision rather than dwelling in darkness. May the light of justice and healing grace emerge from the ashes of deep sorrow to guide the way. What do you think? Given the extensive evidence against Ian, does he stand any chance of being found not guilty for Katie's murder? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the latest updates on true crime cases like Katie Bonnock's. Until next time, stay safe out there. Choose your relationships wisely and remove yourself from any situation that seems unsafe. There is always help available through resources like the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-7233. Reach out at the first red flags rather than waiting for the worst to happen.